Yeah, the cooler weather is definitely welcoming.
Okay, well, good morning, and welcome to the City Manager and Mayor's Press Conference for the month of September. We've got a number of things to cover, some community events, some community activities, but we also want to address a few things that are going on in the city that I know people have a lot of questions about. I'll start off with just acknowledging that recently myself and a number of staff, including the city manager and others, were in attendance of an inclusion summit that was held up at the Prairie Band Potawatomi Casino. The casino has been very good hosts for these kinds of events. It's a great venue, and it gives a lot of people a chance to sit down and visit and talk about best practices and listen to some experts that have come in to give us some thoughts and ideas on how we continue on the theory and idea and necessary activity of inclusion so that everybody feels a part of what is going on in the city and Shawnee County. So I would just wanted to let people know that we are still continuing that interest. So that's one of the things. Another great thing that happened here in Topeka recently was the groundbreaking of the expansion for the Discovery Center over in Gage Park. That is really a destination point for a lot of people. We get thousands, literally, of people who come from out of state to go to that Discovery Center so that they can see what is there for the children. And the capacity has got to where there was a need to expand so they can bring in even more programs and projects. So it was great to be a part of that. The community really does support that, and it's a real jewel for the Topeka. Also, one more thing that I was fortunate to participate in when it was initially planned was the Juneteenth celebration and parade. They had it scheduled earlier in the month, but because of bad weather, it had to be canceled and it had to be rescheduled. And I was fortunate to be invited to participate. A long-time well-known citizen in our Topeka who has been involved in an awful lot of things, Mr. Dale Cushenberry, used to be a former principal of Highland Park High School, drove me in that parade, and we had a good chance to visit and talk about the activities around the city, those things that he hopes to see for Highland Park High School, and his willingness to step forward and maybe join the city in some other capacity to help us bring certain things to the public. And I'm encouraged by that because I've had a number of people who have been involved in the community come forward and ask where they can serve, where they can help out the city. I think that's commendable to our citizens. So it shows that people want to get involved. It's not just up to government officials or staff, that citizens can get involved with whatever they feel is of most interest to them and can bring more success to the city of Topeka. So I want to thank him for that. One of the things that I know that everybody probably wants to have follow-up questions on is our most recent action by the council in approving our 2025 budget. So City Manager Perez will address that and talk a bit about that process and where we are.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning again, everybody. As the Mayor mentioned, City Council last week adopted the FY 2025 budget. I think we had a very good process, a lot of community input, a lot of dialogue with the governing body, and special thanks to all the speakers who came to give input during the budget process. As mentioned previously, the 2025, adopted budget now is keeping the 2024 tax rate at 36.952. The budget is balanced for FY 2025. One of the things that we did discuss during the process was the need for and moving forward for us to actually provide monthly financial updates to the governing body, which is something that our team will be doing. I know that we just adopted, or the City Council just adopted, the 2025 budget, but we're already starting to work on the 2026 budget. Some of the discussions that we had during this budget process had to do with potential shortfalls that we're looking at for FY26 and FY27. And so one of the things that we intend to do, and as we discussed during the budget process, was definitely want to get community input here over the next couple of months to see what the community wants when it comes to potential service impacts versus potential tax initiatives. And so the team and I do intend to visit the community again moving forward, so that way we can share a lot of the information that was shared with the governing body during the budget process, seek that input, and then use that information to take on a retreat with the city council probably in early December. I guess aside from the budget process, want to give some updates on the police chief recruitment. The position posted, I believe, last week, if not the week before. So we are receiving applications and resumes for the position. We do anticipate holding interviews to include community input or community feedback session probably in early November. Along the lines of the police chief update, I know in recent months we've talked about our road and construction updates. Still working hard and heavy on getting a lot of our road projects completed. I think one of the ones that we hear a lot about is the work on Topeka Boulevard. Right now we are working to finish some water line tie-ins across the intersections of 21st and Topeka and 27th and Topeka. The 27th and Topeka work, the water line work, should be concluded probably at the beginning of October. Once we complete that water tie-in across the intersection, we'll actually be able to open up one lane of traffic from 21st to 29th. And so teams are working hard on that. And I know one of the questions that's often asked is, why is there so much work going on right now? So we typically have a window between March or April of each year through December, typically when the asphalt and concrete plants are open and we have good weather to actually to do that work. And so I know that it seems that a lot happens all at once, but it's because of the limited construction window that we have. And so it's interesting because a lot of times people are like, well, when are you going to complete my street? When are you going to redo my street? It comes under construction, then they're like, hey, yeah, I'm being impacted. And so we do recognize the impacts to the community, and we try to minimize those as much as possible through communication and through trying to get the work done as quickly and efficiently as possible.
If I can follow up on that, Dr. Perez, while that construction is going on throughout the city, and in specific right now when he was talking about Topeka Boulevard, there are obviously businesses that are impacted as well, and they are concerned about the traffic into their businesses and want to make sure that they are able to continue and grow in their work. So I encourage citizens, if you've been keeping an eye on things and you see the need to reroute yourself so you can still go to some of the businesses. I'll mention a couple by name just because they're very specific, and that is Knoller's auto dealership and the new Higher Grounds coffee shop. You know, that just opened just this year, and it's important for them to keep their businesses coming in regardless of the traffic. Small business is something that we have continually supported in the city of Topeka, so we want to remind people about that. And as long as I'm talking about small businesses and supporting Topeka, this is, I think this week, 21st to 28th, is Restaurant Week for City of Topeka and downtown restaurants. And there are a number of restaurants that are highlighting the week with specialties and special drinks and possibly some discounts and so forth. So it's important for us to support the downtown as we continue to grow and add more businesses there. We have to show our support by going to these places. So if you've tried one or two, try a different one maybe, just to keep up the mix. In that way we can continue to support that effort with the small businesses in Topeka, all over Topeka. But right now, this week, the focus is on Restaurant Week in downtown Topeka. But again, get around the cone, yellow cones or orange cones, and give yourself time, reroute yourself so that you're not deprived of going to some of the things that you still want to get to. It just might take you a little more time to do that. And bear with us. I'm glad it's all getting done now than before the sleet and snow hits. So it's important for us to take our time and weave our way to where we want to get with some consideration for slower times. Thank you. The other thing we might want to mention is this week, talking about downtown, is going to be a very special event. We're going to host a meet and greet for the city manager at the T-Box on Kansas Avenue. That's going to be on the 26th, excuse me, and it starts at 5 o'clock. Believe me, the city manager has been inundated with a number of requests to meet, visit, talk, just say hello, get a feel for who he is, where he came from. And I think it's important for the citizens to do that in a casual way, which is different from their input from the budget or their input for police chief. This is just get to know you and visit a bit with the city manager and his wife. You'll find them both very, very nice and very welcoming. So if you have the time between 5 and 7 on the 26th, make your way downtown to the T-Box so you can visit with the city manager and ask him about all the things great that he did and all the greater things he's going to do while he's here in the city of Topeka. So be ready for it. Another thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that during this month, not only did we have the delayed celebration for Juneteenth, this is also Hispanic Heritage Month. And there are a lot of events going on. There's some specials again. But the more important thing is for you to take the time to find out a little bit more about the Hispanic culture. It's varied as much as any other culture. North, South, East, and West, they all have their different practices and the way they live through life. But you'll find a common bond. But take the time to visit a website that's comfortable for you and ask around. There are a lot of places. One of the best places to go to is the public library and find out information about the Hispanic culture and how it's celebrated during the month of September. It kind of it gets us prepared for another event that is coming to Topeka. It's called El Dia de los Muertos, and it's during the Halloween season. It's not about Halloween, but it's about the celebration again of family and the culture and how they remember those who have passed on. So it kind of prepares you for that understanding of what that holiday is. So I would encourage you to do that. Also, what's going on is the community engagement section of the department of the City of Topeka, along with the Police Department and the Topeka Citizens Advisory Council, are partnering with a special host event on September the 28th from 10 to noon at the Topeka Shawnee County Library. There will be a number of events, face painting for the kids, other resources that are there. And I would encourage you, again, to take part in these events. We have a wonderful library, and it's amazing what they can put on there and how varied the resources are, from older adults, older than me, and that's getting old, to much younger kids who have a lot of time to excite, experiment, and that computer lab that they have on the second floor. If you haven't had a chance to get up there and take a look at it, every now and then I'll stop in there just to see how it's being used. And you can see a variety of ages, people in there doing projects on their own. Some of them are doing their business requirements from that computer department. So it's free. All you need is a library card, and that doesn't cost you anything. So I encourage you to take advantage of the Topeka Shawnee County Library. There's another thing that is happening this month, and it's Suicide Prevention Month. We have had local stations campaigning for this for quite a while. the Hear Me, See Me campaign that has been going on that includes a number of familiar faces in the community, including myself, talking about the need to hear the need, see people who have a need, and help them find the resources to address everything that could help them in getting a better and healthier life. So this is Suicide Prevention Month. Some people are reluctant sometimes to talk about it, but talking about it doesn't encourage it. Talking about it helps to prevent it. So it's important that we take advantage of the resources that we do have in the city of Topeka and help those who are in need. Later on this month, I'll be getting, and the city council will be getting a report from the mayor's task force on domestic violence. And it's important for us to understand that that phenomenon that sometimes really contributes to some of the violence that we see in the city. And oftentimes we quickly run to the idea that it's the access to guns that really causes a lot of the issues that we all suffer from. But oftentimes it's people who are under mental duress and some who are experiencing violence in their home. And so this is their only outlet. And that's how it manifests itself in our city. So we really have to look at all the root causes. So remember those things that are going on. Suicide Prevention Month. And if you go online as well, you can find the full report from the mayor's task force against domestic violence. Take the time. We spend a lot of time Googling things that are really not that important. These things are important. So take the time to take a look at it, just a few minutes to read over the report. I think it'd be eye-opening for you, but I wanted to bring that to your attention. And the last thing I have, City Manager, is that I want to remind everybody that the deadline to register to vote is October 15th at 5 p.m. You need to get registered if you aren't already registered. We say this every time we have an election, but it's extremely important at every election. Our turnout has raised, but it needs to be higher. We need to have more involvement. I'm encouraged by the idea that when we have these opportunities for public input on the budget and for the police chief and for the city manager for that matter, everybody has an opinion. Well, that opinion is expressed through your vote. So it's important that you follow through with those opinions and with your ideas and get yourself to the voting precincts that you're assigned. And you can find that online at the Shawnee County Election Office. And in fact, you can actually register online at the Shawnee County Election Office website. So I encourage everybody, prepare. Before you know it, it'll be time to vote. So that timeline will come here quicker than you think. October the 15th at 5 o'clock is the deadline. So that's all I have right now, City Manager. If you have something else?
I'm good, sir. I think we're just open for questions.
Sounds good. Any questions?
Mayor, City Manager, with it, we finally have reached into fall. That happened on Sunday, and we're starting to move toward getting into those colder temperatures. Where are we at as far as homelessness, and what is that kind of looking like as we do kind of merge into these cooler months?
So we recently had a presentation to the Mayor and City Council for the Built for Zero model. Essentially, at the basis of that is working with our stakeholders to effectively reduce homelessness. We'll continue working with those partners to ensure that we have adequate resources available as we get into the colder months for the homeless population.
Also, too, with Hotel Topeka, where are we at with that? I know that the city's kind of asking for more finances for that, so if we could have an update on that as well.
So we had a solicitation that was out for public review to actually get brokerage services for the hotel. We received 0 responses. And follow up with some of the communities that would submit proposals for that type of work. Some of them identified to us that they just didn't have enough time to put a proposal together. So we are resoliciting for those services in the meantime. But in the meantime, for that, we're also open to any deals that may come to us or that we are potentially seeking. So we're looking we're basically taking a two-track approach to proactively go out and see if there's groups that may be interested in working a deal with the city. But at the same time, we're also looking, again, for those brokerage services to help us find somebody to help us market the hotel.
I might add that the request for additional funds is for operations, and it's just like anything else. If you buy a home, you don't just let it sit there. If it needs to be repaired, you repair it. If you need to update it, you do that as you can. And what you do is you invest in something that is an asset for the community and for yourself. And that's what we're doing. We know that we have to be as attractive as we can as a property to those who might wish to purchase the hotel. So there are other plans that have come forward with regards to how that's done. And we're not just looking at cosmetics. A lot of what we've been able to do is do the infrastructure that was neglected for some time. And of course, any buyer who's going to look at that is going to do everything they can to do due diligence and see what the condition of the property is. So we want to do our part in making sure that it's as the best condition as we can make it and as attractive as we can make it. We want to note that we haven't slowed down as far as utilizing the property. We've had a number of conferences there. I've attended 2 or 3 that when I was there. And in fact, I had attended at one conference, the Shriners, who were here in Topeka. They quite openly told me that they had that business had been lost to Topeka because we didn't have enough hotel rooms. But because the Hotel Topeka was in operation, they brought that business back to Topeka. And it was the largest conference they've had. I can't remember, they told me 10, 15 years. They had representatives here from 7 states, and they did nothing but praise the staff and the sales staff and all of those who were working in the hospitality area and taking care of all the attendees. So I just want people to know that it's not just sitting there waiting, and that's what would have happened and could have happened had we not taken some action. It would have been there just waiting for somebody to buy it and see who showed up. But we're actively promoting that property, and it's being utilized as much as possible. And keep your eyes on the news and for announcements, because there are things that are being planned to keep it an active property. Okay, any other questions?
As far as construction goes, I've seen some people comment that with the road closed or no through traffic signs, that some people are taking those as maybe suggestions and not really believing what they say. Have you guys noticed some of those problems?
Well, I know that I think I've seen some comments with regards to people, because of the redirection of traffic, they'll take shortcuts through private property. And that's what it is. A gas station is private property, and it's not a detour that you can just arbitrarily choose. Some people choose to do that, but it can be dangerous because there are people frequenting those businesses. People could be walking through. They're not expecting through traffic to come through at maybe 25 miles an hour. So it's important to understand that's illegal to do. That's not just a suggestion. It's illegal, and if you are observed doing that by law enforcement, you can be ticketed for that. So again, give yourself enough time. You know the traffic is going to be slower. You know it's going to be all directed into another direction. Plan for some time so that you can not feel rushed. I know this morning, even taking my grandson to high school, the lines are long on some of the streets because all that traffic is redirected. We just leave a lot earlier and we still get there on time.
And also with us moving into these colder months as well, is the city kind of on track with all of the construction projects that are going on, and what is that looking like because like as you mentioned earlier, it's really the peak time to get this stuff done before it does start snowing.
Yeah, so overall, yes, we are on track with our projects. In the event that we run into some unforeseen circumstances, we do have contingency plans in place to potentially cover up and use temporary asphalt or something, and then come back again in the spring to finish up final restoration. But as of today, we are on track to finish our projects.
One thing I might add, and it was on the list, and wanted to make sure we mentioned it, because of the storms that we've had and some of the tree limbs that are still down and around, we're still working on that. We believe that most of the majority of the pickup will be completed by the 27th of this month. So if you still are worrying about when it's going to come by, if you called it in or moved those limbs to the curb line so that they can be seen, the 27th is about where we anticipate will be completed, picking up all the debris from the storm. Anything else? Okay, well, I want to thank you for your attention and for coming, and have a great week.
Thank you all.